Okay, so we're still chasing it, and we should be. The emergency ended, the accounting did not. Sophia Lacayo, a former Sweetwater, Florida commissioner, was sentenced Friday to 18 months in federal prison after pleading guilty to wire fraud. Prosecutors said that she used fake payroll records and tax documents to obtain nearly $1 million in PPP money through three companies that she owned or controlled. But this is not an isolated leftover case. Here's the bigger story. A Bergen County, New Jersey man was just sentenced last week to 24 months for a scheme involving about $670,000 in COVID relief funding. In Pennsylvania, four defendants were sentenced to an $11.5 million PPP EIDL scheme involving dormant companies with no real operations or employees. The ringleader got 10 years, and his kid received 8 years. Now, a former NYPD detective, yes, somebody that we ought to be able to trust, right, to uphold the law, received 4 years after helping more than 65 people obtain fraudulent PPP loans using fictitious tax records. Now, back here in my sunshine state of Florida, an Apopka man received 63 months for COVID relief fraud and money laundering. And a former Jacksonville pastor has been indicted on four PPP related wire fraud counts. Now, that's an allegation at this point, not a conviction. The number that ought to stop people cold is that the Small Business Administration Inspector General estimates that more than $200 billion in PPP and COVID disaster loan funds were potentially fraudulent. That's 17% of those programs were fraudulent. That's not an estimate, not a final conviction total, but it does explain why these prosecutions are still arriving some 6 years later. All right, COVID is over, but the COVID heist is not. Because America was told there was no time. There was no time to verify. There was no time to ask questions. There was no time to protect the taxpayer. Just send the money and send it right now. Now, years later, we're learning what fast brought us. It brought us fake businesses, fake payrolls, fake tax forms, public officials, police officers, pastors, and just plain old crooks, all lining up for the money that was supposed to keep real workers on real payroll. Sophia Lacayo's 18th-month sentence is not the whole story. It's not. It's one receipt from a national spending spree with no guardrails and absolutely no accountability. The question is not whether government should have helped people through an emergency. The question is why protecting honest taxpayers and legitimate small businesses was treated as something that was optional. COVID is over, but the investigations shouldn't be. We need to find the money, seize what can be seized, prosecute the fraud, and make sure that Washington never again uses an emergency as an excuse to turn off the locks on the Treasury. Now, speed mattered in an emergency, but verification mattered too. The people who stole from the relief programs deserve prosecution. And the people who designed a system that made theft this easy deserve scrutiny. My name is Glenn Lawson. This is the Morning Report. Be well.